Hopefully you can hear me. Hi, German. Let's see if we can get some other people to join. I'm gonna wave back. Hi there. How's everyone doing? Good to see you guys. Let's see. I got a new holder, so I'm still testing it out. There we go. Wonderful. Okay. I'll put a little message. Just got a big ass package from Richland. Did you graduate? Hopefully it's a good package. There we go. Ah, I was able to figure out how to pin something. There we go. All right, probably books. Yeah, I heard there's been a few headaches with the Include Ed, but hopefully, people are getting their materials. I understand the concept of let's incorporate textbooks with your tuition, because I didn't really know this, but only 28% of students were actually getting the course material for their classes. So the fact that it's part of your tuition, if that helps, hopefully that's good. So, all right, so it's just now 2 o'clock, so we'll wait a couple of minutes. I'm actually doing a little watercoloring while I'm talking to you guys. I got me a little pad. I needed to do a little self-care today. So been in a bunch of meetings, so I had a little bit of a headache. So I found my old Crayola watercolors. I would show you what I'm painting, but it's taped, and I'm just messing with color. More of an abstract kind of thing. So how's everyone doing? Surviving your week? What is this, week 3 now? Oh my goodness. It seems like the semester just started, and now we're getting into other things. So, hi there. How are you? Good to see you. And we have the Richardson High School members in, and I know I need to follow up with you guys soon about a meeting and getting organized, so I will reach out and do that. It's just been a very crazy, hectic couple of days. So, all right, well, I guess I will. Hi there. Glad you could join us. I'll just start talking and share the topic I had planned to cover today. And let me share some announcements. I have my little notes here. So if you're not familiar with ALAS, we are the Latino club. We were founded on Richland campus, and we are hoping to open up our club to, as my camera, we're hoping to open up to all Dallas College students, no matter what campus you're on, and really open to any student. It's just if you're interested in Latino culture, we're kind of a mentorship club. We do volunteering. We do all kinds of stuff. It's different every semester, and of course now that we're in an online format, we're still trying to find ways to stay engaged, stay connected. So if you can join us for the live check-ins, we would really appreciate that. So hopefully a few people will join. I know it's been kind of gloomy. I'm sure some of you are happy the weather got cooler. I know some of you really prefer fall over 100-degree temperatures. I'm kind of half and half. I'm just worried about my plants not surviving. That's where I'm at this point. So they've become my babies, and how do I keep them alive and sustainable? So, all right. Well, what I want to talk about today is something called the importance of radical kindness. So that's why I thought of kindness in the time of Corona. As you can see, if you're watching the news, there is just a lot of negativity, a lot of just anger and frustration. And when I first heard this term radical kindness, I was like, what is that? And we are all taught as children to be kind. If you think about how your parents might have raised you, or in kindergarten or first grade, you're taught how to share, you're taught to be kind to one another, not hit each other. So these are skills we already have. It's just sometimes they just get kind of buried in the soil of who we are. And this concept of really kind of having more of a conscious approach to kindness. I really think that's kind of an overriding theme that I want to cover in the live check-ins as we go forward this semester. So I really want you to think about what that term might mean to you, radical kindness, and what you can do. Okay, so I'm going to actually put that term here, radical kindness. Sorry, my camera is bumping as I'm typing. And kindness, there we go. So there we go. And I'll tell you towards the end how I came to that concept or what it is. But I want to talk to you about some fundamentals of that and what it means. Okay. And so when I really think about the intent of the club and what we do and our purpose, it really does come down to acts of kindness. Because my journey into understanding Latino culture was that I was raised away from my culture. I was raised removed from it, and so having that curiosity and knowing that people were not really kind to me when I told them, yes, I'm Hispanic, but I don't speak Spanish, or stereotypes or assumptions. And so I realized a lot of my students come from different backgrounds. Some of you speak Spanish fluently, others of you don't. Some of you may have one partner or one parent that comes from Latino culture and you have curiosity. Maybe you're dating someone, maybe you're just curious in general. And I really think that radical kindness is a way to engage and way for our club to approach how we try and kind of educate the community, let people know this is what some aspects of Latino culture are. This is not everything, but these are some things that we do to understand ourselves and who we are. And, there is a connection, there is an intent with that, okay? And so I'm going to share with you just some kind of major principles of that, and then in the coming weeks, we're going to be doing live check-ins every Thursday, so hopefully you can join. And we are going to have different guest speakers, and in fact, our first guest speaker next week is going to be Professor Joan Zelaya, and she is actually from Honduras, and she's going to share her story and her personal journey. And I think very much kindness in action is very much part of who she is and part of her approach. And so, we'll be really excited to have her and do kind of like a question and answer kind of thing. Okay? All right. Well, this question that I want you to consider, hi there, thanks for joining, is we're talking about radical kindness and what this concept is. And that's kind of what my approach is for this talk today. And if you have comments, if you have questions, please feel free to put something in the comments. If you want to backtrack to something else, I'm constantly looking at the feed, and just let me know, okay? So think about this. Oh, there's Claudia. Hola, Claudia. We were just about to start. So think about this concept. When is the last time someone treated you with radical kindness? Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind. So let me talk through what are some of these perspectives are and how we're going to approach it, okay? I found this really great quote. Actually, someone else did. It's their article that I'm referencing. But this quote from Albert Einstein. And the quote says, "The most important decision we make is whether we believe in a friendly or a hostile universe," okay? So let's start there. Do you see the world as a friendly place? Or because of COVID-19, do you see the world as hostile and cruel and heartbreaking? Sometimes just having that perspective can also shift. Maybe if you're going through some tough times right now, if you're feeling kind of depressed, kind of sad. Sometimes, it's very kind of what my mom used to say, very Pollyanna, and that's an old reference. There was a Disney movie years ago with Haley Mills called Pollyanna. It's actually a good rental. And in the whole movie, it's about this young girl that looks for the good in people and looks for happiness in people. And so it became kind of a running joke, like, oh, don't be such a Pollyanna. Don't be, how you were, don't be so happy all the time. I love your comment, depends on how you were raised, in your opinion. Absolutely. Some people were raised with lots of kindness, other people were not. And so if you never had kindness towards you, I know from my mother's background, there really wasn't kindness there. So not everyone has a Pollyanna experience, or not everyone is taught to look for the good in things. And so it's something that you can do that's an individual approach and an individual connection that can help you really have a deeper understanding of the world and of yourself. And that's really what radical kindness is. Radical kindness is love in action. Okay, it's putting a positive feeling out into the world rather than always your go-to is anger or frustration. Maybe the world has been very hostile to you. Maybe you have gone through some very horrible things, but to try and uplift and think through radical kindness as one approach. And like I said, it's not a fix-all. It's not the magic bullet. It's not the one pill that's going to make everything better, but it's just an approach that I've been embracing, especially during this time of the quarantine and coronavirus. We have seemed to have lost a lot of our kind of thoughtfulness with each other. And especially here at where I'm working, we're transitioning to one college. I have seen colleagues just treat each other very negatively, very hostile. And it's like we have forgotten kind of that we need to be a little bit more patient with ourselves. We need a little bit more kindness. And so I found this article, and it's by Tara Consigno. I'm sure I said her name wrong, but if you are part of the WhatsApp group, I will certainly share that link with you. Hi, thanks for joining. So we're talking about this concept of radical kindness, and she shares about 7 different things that you can try. And I'm not saying you have to do all 7 of these, but maybe one might be something to consider. Another way. Oh, hi, Art Club. Good to see you guys. So we're talking about this notion of radical kindness, okay? So one of the first things that she recommends is to begin each day with a moment of kindness. And that can be so many different ways. Just really setting your intention for the day. That's what we do in yoga is, what do you want out of the day? What are you hoping to accomplish? For some people, setting your intention is maybe a prayer. Okay, if you are a religious person, doing a short prayer. For others, maybe it's taking a walk, or if you have an animal, taking your dog for a walk in the morning. For me, my act of a moment of kindness in the morning for myself is I have to let my dog out to go into the backyard, but I sit around my plants and I say good morning to them, and I physically touch them, and it's just a moment of awareness. It's just a moment of I'm here living in this present moment, and I'm setting my intention for the day. And I try to set my intention, even if I have a long, busy day, like, oh, there's a lot on my plate today, but I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And I'm going to do it with kindness. And I'm going to be forgiving of myself if I'm going through a rough time. So for me, my moment of kindness, starting my day, is just sitting in quiet. Okay? I make the coffee and I maybe load some dishes in the dishwasher, but I'm doing it and I'm thinking about being present and being active and being here, okay? For some people, it's meditation, and I also do yoga, so the mornings that I do yoga, I get a chance to kind of close my eyes and just reconnect. And the point of that is really to give you a friendly mindset for the day, to really calm, to feel connected. And what I love about this article is she gives questions to ask of yourself. Okay, so after you've joined this live session, I'll share the article link as well. And this might be something maybe you reflect on just on your own, or you journal about it or something. But the question she asks to consider is, how can I make kindfulness part of my sacred ritual? Like, do you have a sacred morning ritual? Do you have something that you do, or do you just leap out of bed and then you just get online and you start your day? Do you take a moment to self-reflect and say, okay, here I am in this moment. Maybe I'm not feeling so great. Maybe I am. But I'm going to move forward with intention and with positivity. Okay, I know it sounds very woo-woo and very silly, but it actually does have an effect, okay? One thing that I do, and this seems really silly, is I greet my dog Simran, and I talk to her like she's a person. She's my baby. She's my child. But I'm very positive with her, and I say, good morning, how are you? You ready to go outside? I know you want your snacky. And just even that act of smiling at her and greeting the day, that's something that we can try, okay? Another thing that this article talks about in terms of radical kindness is create a habit with a personal kindness challenge, okay? So what that is maybe challenge yourself to actually do something beyond your normal routine that is an act of kindness. Okay. When I used to teach creative writing, I used to tell my creative writing students, commit an act of kindness. Do something completely out of the ordinary for someone else. And for me, that might be something simple as if I go through the Starbucks drive-thru, I might pay for the person behind me. Maybe they're having a bad day, and it's one random thing. Something else you could do is maybe connect with someone you haven't talked to in a long time. I know a lot of us are home right now. We're not really going out as much. Maybe there's a friend or a family member or someone you haven't thought about in a long time. What I do is I go through my address book on my phone, and I'm like, oh, I haven't talked to that person in a long time. Let me reconnect with them, or let me find them on social media. That might be something that you could do, is creating a personal challenge. Okay, maybe commit to, this weekend I'm going to go through my closet, I'm going to find clothes, and I'm going to donate to Goodwill. That is certainly an act of kindness and something not out of your part of your everyday. And if you can't think of something, if you journal, if you're a writer or an artist, maybe just write and reflect about gestures of kindness you would like to do. Okay, or even wishful thinking gestures. Like, I wish I had $1 million in the bank, and I've seen people go out and they just give random money to strangers. I mean, I wish that would be the thing I could do to solve the world's problems. I know it isn't. So I always tell myself, someday when I am in a position to have that kind of financial security, I do want to give back and do something more in that regard. Okay. Hi there. I saw a couple people just joined us. So the question to reflect on for that second type of radical kindness that we're talking about is, what small gestures of kindness can I do today? Okay. Maybe if you're living with someone, maybe tell them, hey, I really appreciate you doing this, or thank you for doing that. Maybe reaching out to a professor if they've answered a question, saying, thank you, I really appreciate what you're doing for me. It's having that actual intention of, how can I kind of pay this forward? How can I help someone? Even if it's just a small little gesture, it can make such a difference. Okay. So another perspective that I want you to think about in terms of this notion of radical kindness is to look at something from multiple perspectives. And I think sometimes we don't do that enough. Let's say, for example, I just came off of a very challenging group meeting on MS Teams, and challenging to the point that I had a headache and I had to step away. And I know people want me to respond to some emails and things, and I realized, you know what? I need to take a breath. And I need to step away from my technology, and I did, and I went and got something to eat and, took a headache pill. But sometimes you have to look at something from different points of view. So as I mentioned, because we're Dallas College and with the student club organizations, there's a lot of changes coming down the road. And with that comes new policies, new rules. And it's so easy for me to just throw up my hands and say, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. But I have to look at it from the side of the people coming up with these policies and consider, what are the challenges they're facing? They're worried about job security, first of all. They don't know where their place is in the new organization. They are following what they're being told from their bosses. And so I need to, be a little bit more mindful that, yeah, they don't have all the answers right now, but eventually they're going to get there. And I just have to be patient and persistent in getting the things that I need addressed at some point. It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but I know that eventually they're going to have some consistent policies, they're going to have things that are going to be helpful, and we move forward. And some things will work and be great, and others will be like, no, I don't know. Another example of that, I had an Alice member once who actually contacted me. She was out in the workforce, and she had a challenging experience with a coworker. And, the first thing we do is, like, when we get a nasty email or we're getting a situation, is we want to just respond right away. And she actually took a moment and she contacted me, and we met for lunch, and she told me about what happened. And so sometimes getting somebody else's perspective on a situation can really help. And sometimes my LS students do that. They'll contact me and they're like, look, I'm having this challenge. Here's what it is. Tell me what you think. And sometimes just having somebody else hear what you're going through can provide different insight and help you see those different perspectives. Like, for example, I had someone that was really angry with me, and I'm trying to be empathetic. I'm trying to look at why they're frustrated with me, why they're angry with me. And, maybe that person, I realized, is going through a tough time. And I just happen to be the person they unloaded on. Or they really have personal issues with how they are doing something, and they see me doing it totally different, and they're assuming it's wrong. And so it's taking that time, taking that patience, okay? So what's really great is that question to reflect on when you're dealing with difficult situations is, how can I bring kindness to a difficult moment? And I know that just seems like, okay, all I know is someone is fucking yelling at me. I don't have time to think about kindness. But you actually do, and I've been in situations where I've had a colleague maybe get very aggressive, get very vocal, and you have to kind of step away from that moment, but you have to consider, how can I bring kindness and understanding? For example, I had a colleague and I questioned some of their negative actions, and they actually came back and they apologized. And they're like, look, that wasn't directed at you. I'm sorry you took it that way. And for me to be kind in return and to accept the apology and to say, look, you just seemed really stressed. You just seemed really kind of over the top. That's why I brought it to your attention. So there are ways that you can consider. It's what we call, we have hindsight. This is called kindsight. I know it's very catchy. But how can I look back at a situation and not look at all the negative stuff, but what are the positive things? What are the kind things that I can do? Okay. How can I view that situation with tenderness, with understanding? Our administrators, our deans, our vice provost, everyone all the way up to the top is facing a lot of change and a lot of challenge. And a lot of it does roll down onto me as the faculty member, as the advisor for the club. And I have to know that they're figuring things out as well. And if I make sure I form positive relationships and connections, down the road, those things will definitely pay off. And to look at it from their perspective. They're going to want to consolidate some things that I may not be happy with, but at the same time, we're trying to become one college. And so I may have to let go of school colors. I may have to let go of a mascot. I don't know. There's a lot of questions in the air. I hope we still get to be Thunder Ducks. The latest I've heard is that the sports teams will continue to have the mascots and the school colors. So if that's true, then guess what? We're going to start supporting our sports teams on our different campuses, if that's what it takes. So we got to find the good. We got to find the positive. The other thing, and this is the most important thing I've learned in dealing with difficult situations, is you have to establish a boundary, okay? For example, I do not like to be yelled at. I understand people get angry and people get frustrated, but I don't like someone taking their anger out on me. And so when I see someone in that moment, usually I step away. I say, look, I'm not going to talk to you when you're in this state of mind, because if you push me into a corner, then I'm going to come out swinging and I'm going to come out in anger. And then we have completely defeated the purpose. And so in many situations, having that boundary of, I am not okay if you're going to step to this point, you have to hold that line. So, and you can do that with family, you can do that with friends. I had to do that with my own family members. I had a family member that was very critical of my relationship in the beginning, and I said, look, if you cannot say anything kind about someone I'm with, then there is no point in me coming over here. So we can talk about anything else, but if that's where you're going to go, yeah, then I have to hold that boundary, okay? And that's something that when we're in our younger years, we're not as comfortable doing. But trust me, once you get to my age, once you get past 40, you give no fucks anymore. You're going to tell people where your line is and what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. And it took me a while to get to this point in my life. In my 20s, I was always just wanting to make everybody happy, very pleasing. And you have to learn to be able to stand up for yourself, especially in those moments. Okay? All right, so the fourth point on radical kindness that this article that I will share the link with talks about is giving yourself a dose of daily self-kindness. Okay, now this is a little bit different than self-care. Self-care is one of those words that gets kind of thrown about, and we immediately think of, oh, let me go take a nap, that's self-care, or let me get my nails done, that's self-care. Like, it's very self-indulgent, it's very just, let me go eat a pint of ice cream, and as lovely those things are, and yes, I do all of those things, this is something else. Having kindness towards yourself helps to quiet that inner critic. And I know you have an inner critic in you because I have the same one. And let me tell you, she is ruthless. She's that negative voice that says, you can't do this. Who do you think you are? You're going to suck at this. You're going to fail the class. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. Believe me, I go through that whole mantra in my head. And I have to use self-compassion to counteract that. So when you actually do acts of kindness for other people, that inner critic actually starts to subside. Because even if I think I'm a piece of shit inside, and I don't, at least if I'm doing something for somebody else, I can live with that. Okay? So, you know, we hear a lot of times these terms, positive affirmations, or gratitude journals, but there are phrases you should have handy, whether it's on a wall or whether it's somewhere on your phone. There's even an app that will send you a daily affirmation every day. Believe me, those things help. Let me share some that I tell myself, okay? And these are also from the article. Hi, Alexis, good to see you. So, positive affirmations. One is, I will be okay. Okay. And I actually learned one from my father. My father used to tell me all the time, so what? Because I used to be I used to white knuckle every situation and make myself sick, hurt my stomach, worry. And he's like, so what? You know, I'd be worried about a job that I interviewed for. Like, what if I don't get it? What if I'm not good enough? And he would just tell me, well, Michelle, so what? Did you die? Okay, you didn't get the job. Life will go on, right? There will be another job, and there will be another job. Maybe it's the job you wanted, but maybe that's not the best one at this moment, you know? Or, oh my God, I made a B in my class and not an A. Well, so what? Okay. Did you die? No, you didn't. You did it to the best of your ability at that moment. Will it cost you a job or an application or a scholarship? Possibly. But that doesn't mean that your journey stops. That doesn't mean that somebody won't want to accept you. That doesn't mean you won't still get a decent job and have a career. And so we have to be able to talk ourselves off our own ledge of that negative speak, okay? Tell yourself, I've got this, okay? German, our LS president, I love. Whenever I ask him something, he's always like, I got you. And I love that. I hear my teenager says it too, like, I got you. Like, I got this. You're okay. I will take care of it. But you got to tell yourself that, like, I've got this. I can do this, okay? And I love myself just as I am. That's something else I tell myself. You know, I'm not perfect. And I have people in my life that, yeah, maybe they don't care for me. What can I do? You know, I love myself for who I am. I am not some superhero. I have no magical powers. I am just figuring shit out as I go, just like everybody else. So you have to give yourself that kindness and that compassion. And tell yourself that you do have a good heart. You know, I am a good person. And I know that. I haven't murdered anyone. I haven't plotted somebody's death. Well, not officially. In my head I have, maybe. But you have a good heart. So when you have someone that is overly critical of you or tells you you don't belong here or you can't have that, I know who I am at the end of the day. And I know where my place is. And I am deserving of these things. Okay? And so the best reflection question for this, for self-compassion, is what vulnerable acts of my experience need my tender love and care? Okay, so I'll say that again. What vulnerable aspects of my experience do I need my tender love and care? Think about the places in your life where you are most vulnerable, okay? That's when you got to step in and have that self-care. So, for example, I do not handle criticism well, okay? I still don't. When a student tells me they hate my class, or for years I was terrified to publish my writing, you know, because there's going to be negative feedback. But the thing is, if I get negative feedback, I have to be able to give myself compassion and say, look, I wrote that or I taught that to the best of my ability at that time. If they didn't like it, there's nothing I can do. I can't go back and redo it. I can't go back in time and fix it. So when I know I'm most vulnerable when I'm getting negative feedback. So I have to remind myself, I got to talk myself through, it's going to be okay. All right? That, you know, I trust myself. I trusted my process. I felt confident at the time that I did that. And where people take that, who knows? Okay? All right, I'm almost done with these. So there's 7. I'm on number 5 of types of radical kindness, okay? And this one really ties to the club, and it's called committing to a cause. Okay, so when you give, giving is the great equalizer. And so if you come from a lot of money, if you are struggling, if you're working minimum wage, it doesn't matter what your economic status is. Just the act of giving puts us all on the same kind of human level. Okay, and so that's where I love about this club is we do a lot of volunteer programs, we do a lot of fundraising to give back to people that are less fortunate. One of the things that we're going to do with Alice Club this semester is we're going to do a letter writing campaign because it's something we can do in quarantine that's safe. And so right now, one of my officers, we have found a program where we can write to an orphanage in a Central American country. So we're going to set that up. And then if you want to write a letter, you can even type it via email. We will send it to this organization and they will print out and they will mail the letters to that orphanage. So we can give back to our own culture, our own background, and to people who are struggling, who are in need, who need our help, and who need our support. So look for more information for that. We will certainly post more details on our social media. Another one that we're doing, and this is one I actually started doing on my own, and then the other club members are going to contribute, is we can write letters to soldiers. There is a program called soldiersangels.org. And this one, though, you have to pay a donation fee, and I've already done that, so I already have the database set up. And so if you want to write a letter to a soldier, you can. They have all kinds of needs. They need people to send thank you letters, birthday cards, if you want to establish a pen pal connection. Monts, our resident baker, she has a cookie business. There is a program where you can sell baked goods to soldiers. And I feel like we need to jump on that because back in the day, when we were allowed to on campus, we used to do fabulous bake sales, but then they changed, again, rules and everything else. So if you're interested in baking, if you're a baker, Mont is going to head up that program. So once we get the sign-up sheet organized, if you're a baker, that's something you can do. I mean, imagine a soldier all the way in Afghanistan getting your package and getting homemade cookies. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would do. There's also another program where you can send care packages to female soldiers. And that one, I just sent my very first one last week. And I didn't even realize I sent it to Afghanistan because I didn't know where Bagram Air Force Base was. And so I actually had to ask Google. And then I realized I'm sending this to basically the other side of the world. But it's to support female soldiers in need. So you put whatever. I put in gummy bears. I put in Rice Krispie treats. I put in practical things like lotions and shampoos and, facial wipes. For a few dollars. So if you have $4 or $5 and you want to make a little care package, we're going to have that as an option as well. And I've noticed a lot of the soldiers that sign up tend to be minority soldiers, tend to be Black or Hispanic and Asian. So, let's support them too. So if you are wanting to support the military, I find it's one way that we can reach out and do something. So that's an act of let's give back to people who are fighting for our freedoms, who are wanting a better future. If you don't want to do either of those, something that I've done, and I shared this at the last check-in, is I actually write letters to family and friends. And so if you want a letter from me, send me a direct message, a DM on this account with your mailing address, and I would be happy to send you something. And if I have not asked you for your mailing address, those of you that do know me, I will shortly. But part of my morning ritual is after I've watered the plants and let the dog out, I sit and I write two cards at minimum to two different people just to let them know, hey, I'm reaching out. Hope you're doing well. I'm thinking about you. Because I grew up in the 80s where we passed notes in class. And so I love to write letters. I love getting cards. I love mail. I mean, I don't want bills. Nobody wants bills. So if any of that, you have any interest in that, we plan to do something in that area of giving back. Okay? And it's something we can do socially distance and be safe. Okay? And then number 6, of course, is act of radical kindness. I love all the hearts. Thank you. Thank you. That makes me feel good. Is to be grateful and to have gratitude. This is also a really great quote. This is actually from a theologian, Meister Eckhart. He says, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. And it never occurred to me that the act of saying thank you, as a prayer, as putting a positive message, and as a simple, I acknowledge what you're doing and I appreciate it. And I know not all of my students are deeply religious, and I also don't share my religious views either, but I like that we have to have those moments of grace, and we have to really take into context, yes, we're living in a difficult time, but we have to reflect on how can we get more pleasure and more delight in where we're at in this moment in our lives. Okay, so at the end of the day before you go to sleep, think about, was there any one thing that was positive in your day? Something that made you smile, made you lift up for a little bit. The one that I share from yesterday is I picked 3 tiny little tomatoes from my tomato plant. And remember, I am not a gardener. I have killed everything up until this point, but now I have embraced quarantine gardening, if you've been following me on my personal Instagram channel. So to be able to hold those little tomatoes, and I'm so mad I didn't take a picture. We ate them before that. And to taste something that I grew, and as tiny as it was, and it was only 3, but you know what? I'll take it. For a first-time person, that moment of grace, that miracle, every time I go outside and I see my plants and I see another shoot of a leaf, I see another flower, to me it's just watching miracles every morning, and it's something to be grateful for. And if I get sick, if I lose another loved one, I have to take the time to be grateful for what I have in this moment. Okay, and I know for a lot of you, you're not where you want to be in your life. You're in college, you're finding your career, you're figuring out who you are. You don't want to live with your parents, or you want to move away from this or from that. I understand that. I've been there. But at least appreciate and be grateful for what you do have in this moment. Okay? And those little things, the fact that you have your health. My mom used to always harp on me. Doesn't matter how bad things are getting, if you have your health, you have everything. So if you are healthy, if you are able to breathe in and out, if you are able to climb up and down stairs, let me tell you right now, that is very much a gift. I read an article this morning that they're looking at people who survived coronavirus in Italy. It's been, 6 months now? A lot of people are still struggling with their health. So they said it's not enough to get it and to survive it. There's long-term effects, Imagine not being able to take a deep breath anymore. Imagine not being able to run a marathon if you're used to that, or being able to walk your dog. So I think especially right now, those moments of gratitude, be appreciative of that, okay? And then I have one last one, and this one again ties into kind of the point of the whole club and the session today, and I'm almost done. I know you guys got other things to do. As I choke. Let me take a drink. And the last one in this article of radical kindness is to connect with people that are different than you. And that's the point of this club. Make sure that you are stepping out of your comfort zone of, it's easy to have friends that have like-minded attitudes towards life or the same political views. Be willing to connect. Yeah, don't die, please. Yeah, I won't. Sorry. I just inhaled too fast. But take the courage to step beyond the familiar. And that's what I love about this club. If you want to learn about other cultures, we love to collaborate with other clubs to learn about their experiences. So we love doing events, especially with the Asian Student Club. We learn so much about the different cultures. You can't say that someone is Asian and everything is the same. It really isn't. Vietnamese culture is different than Thai culture. Thai culture is different than Chinese culture. They have things that might have commonalities, but how they interpret, how they live their lives are very different. Same thing with the Muslim community as well. If you have never met someone of a different faith, that is eye-opening. And you're amazed at realizing that you actually have more things in common. The best way I can deal with that is dealing with someone that maybe has a different political view than I do. And I know that can be challenging as well. But again, rather than getting defensive and coming at each other, try to find positive things to connect, okay? Family is important to both groups, Friends are important. Making sure we don't die from coronavirus is important, okay? And it's the point of all of this discussion today, and the point of radical kindness, is that kindness and positivity actually adds up. It begins to spiral. It's an energy and it's a life force. And I think my plants notice it as well. I thought it was the craziest thing when someone told me you have to talk to your plants. But I go out there every morning, I greet them, I talk to them, I might sing a little to them. And I think they're picking up on that energy and they're just thriving. And I try to be mindful of that with my students, with people I'm around. So kindness and positivity attracts other kindness and positivity. Okay? And where I got a lot of these ideas is I actually got a random email a couple of months ago to be on a podcast. And it's going to be coming up in their 4th season. And I'm actually going to type in the website. And it's called Sincerely Human. Sincerely. And it's HUEMAN.org. And they are, and I probably spelled sincerely wrong, so I didn't spell check it. But if you just Google, I'm sorry, it's not even .com. It's duck. It's not .org, it's .com. I'm sorry. Let me try it again. Sincerely, Sincerely, HUEMAN.com. There we go. Okay, I can spell now. There we are. And that's where I learned the term radical kindness. And what they do is they tell stories of people that are doing small moments of giving back, of helping. And they actually saw one of my TED Talks and were curious about the Alice Club. And so we're going to be featured on their podcast in their, I think, season 4. So that's the website, and you can follow them on whatever you listen to your podcast on, Spotify or on Apple or Stitcher, all of those, or you can look at the website. I'll let you know when they play our episode, and I really got a chance really to just brag on you guys and share what we're doing with Alice Club, how we got started, and I realized that really what we do in Alice is very simply sharing the kindness of our culture. Sharing and educating, we're not here to convert you. We're not forcing a manifesto down your throat. We're just simply using kindness in action. And when we raise money for fundraisers, when we do charitable events, when we do volunteering, those are the things that add up. And let me tell you, the positivity from that, there is a reason why our club has been around for 10 years. It's because we try to go forward with kindness and to give back and to be open to new ideas and suggestions, and that's how we got here. So that's really all I had. All right, so next week we are going to have a guest speaker. Like I said, Professor Joan, she teaches ESOL, and we're going to do it more in kind of a question answer format. So I'll send out a link to the WhatsApp if you have a question specifically you want her to ask or to answer. We'll learn more about her background. I think people just simply sharing their stories is impactful. I've already asked Professor Lefelt. She is the sponsor for the art club. She's an amazing artist from Venezuela. She also has agreed in the following weeks also to join, and I'm reaching out to others as well. Yes, yay, Professor. And she too, she is embracing and being brave to come on here, and she's a big supporter of our club. So is Professor Lefeld. So I'm very excited. We are going to have an eCampus community page. There's nothing on it right now, but I will set that up, and that will be the place where any Dallas College student can come and sign up and be on the mailing list, get on the WhatsApp. I'll be able to post information like if I hear about scholarships, any other information, our videos, the sign up if you want to do the letter writing campaign to the orphanage or to the soldiers or the cookies or the care packages. So just give me some time. Hopefully by early next week I'll have that set up. And, as you talk to other students, please get the word out about Alice, share with them, tell them we are open to everyone. And, right now it's an odd time because we're in quarantine, but you know what? We're just going to keep checking in each week on Thursdays. And if you have new ideas, things you want to contribute or collaborate with, or want something for us to cover, send me a message, send me an email. We are always happy to consider those things. That's what makes our club so unique, is that it's student driven, and it's the things that you guys want to do and to focus on. And that's what I'm here for, to help be the conduit to figure out what are those things that we're going to do. Okay? And just so you know, starting next week, Hispanic Heritage Month kicks off. So it's from 9/15 until October 15th. And Dallas College has a whole flyer. They're about to kind of blanket all the social media, and I will repost as well. And I'm doing a couple of things individually, and then our club is doing stuff. And so it's a huge collaborative effort. So I think it's a great way to showcase our Latinx community and what we're about. I'm also in the talks with the Asian Student Club and Asian professors. They have the Moon Festival coming up, and so we're going to kind of share our social media platforms to educate you guys about Moon Festival. So when there's cultural events, I want to teach you about other cultures as well. And then, of course, October is really going to be the big prepping for Day of the Dead. So I'm going to do Day of the Dead crafts. We're going to talk about the altar and the ceremonies. So we have a lot going on. And of course, elections as well. So if you want to talk about elections, watch debates, anything and everything. Okay? So I just want to end with this one final thing, and then I'll sign off. Tomorrow is actually my birthday. I'm turning 46. And you might be aware that my birthday is 9/11. So it's an iconic day. I had a student ask me once, well, Mr. Navarro, aren't you going to move your birthday because it's on such a sad day? And, you know, and they were legitimate in their question. And I thought about it, and I said no, because what I have been doing since 9/11 happened, and I will do this tomorrow morning as well, is I will wake up and I will go outside and I will have a moment of self-reflection. And I think about the people that lost their lives on 9/11. And I say a little prayer. I think about them. And I acknowledge their spirit. And again, I come from a culture where we honor our dead. We have Day of the Dead. And I think part of my journey into embracing my Latinx culture is to embrace the notion of death. For some people, it's morbid, it's weird, it's uncomfortable. A lot of people don't like to talk about death. They're afraid of death. For me, death and I are kind of not really pals, but I have dealt with a lot of death in my life. I've been to a lot of funerals. Death and I are kind of very unfamiliar terms. Like, he's been very close to me. You know, he's been in my orbit, and we kind of have a healthy respect for each other. I kind of acknowledge death as, you know what, someday you're going to come for me. Not right now, but I know someday it's coming. And I'm going to honor the people that have come through, that have, you know, ended their life. And I'm going to be respectful of that. And so for 9/11, that is my act of kindness, is to self-reflect, to think about what those people went through, to acknowledge their stories, to really consider. It's really positive energy. If that's what I can do, some small thing I can do to help kind of change the environment, you know, hopefully people will be less angry. People will reach out. That's what I do. Is I've learned to take my birthdays and to be grateful for what we have, what we're at, and to acknowledge that people have died. So. Alrighty. Well, on that note, thank you so much for coming to our live check-in. And again, we're going to post this on YouTube so others will check it out. And again, please encourage everyone to join and follow our Instagram, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat. And you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you next week. And we will talk to Professor Joan. Alrighty. Good to see you. Bye-bye.